Hello everyone, Mark Varick, owner of MAV Gun Works. In today's video, we're going to talk about the Glenfield Model A, which some of you out there might have just scratched your head and said, wait a minute, that's a Ruger American you have sitting in front of you. Well, essentially you are correct. In 2020, Ruger purchased Marlin, and in doing so, they acquired brand names along with the company. And one of those brand names was Glenfield. And a lot of you probably never heard of a Glenfield, but they are out there. I do own a few. They had two models, Model 60 and a Model 30. Now they had some variances on those models, like a 30A and stuff like that. But essentially they were Marlin. They were using Marlin components and everything to build these rifles, and they were selling them in catalogs like the Sears and Roebucks and Montgomery Ward, which was like the Amazons back then. But that's why they were building these rifles. They wanted to keep the price down and offer them to everyone out there, customers. So great guns, great actions, but again, a little lesser components, which I do have. I do have a Model 60, which is a 22 semi-automatic, and I do have a Model 30, which is a lever action 30-30, which you can see here, the action is the Marlin 336 action. I would say the lesser components, if you look at the barrel and the tube, lesser steel, shorter tube. You probably get two tubes from a Marlin 336 that had a full tube on it. Just, they cut the cost down on building them. The wood is a beech wood, not the oak wood. So again, a cheaper wood, lesser expensive wood, shouldn't say cheaper, but a lesser expensive wood. But they did do some nice things like the checkering on this. You can see it's I got a 10-point buck, maybe an 11-point. I'm not going to count the points. In the foregrip, you have some nice checkering with some oak leaves on this beech wood. Really made it pop. Good rifle. Well, you see I have a red dot on this. I took this out of the safe 6 years ago. We were doing some driving on the farm. I had a lot of fun with this gun. Killed some, harvested some animals. Probably shouldn't say killed. Harvested some animals with it. But again, essentially a Marlin 336. So that's where the Glenfield name came from. But essentially it's a Ruger original, the Ruger American. As you know, the Ruger has come out with the Gen 2, American Gen 2s, which I have one here for comparison to the Ruger American. As you can see, there are a lot of differences, not slight differences, a lot of differences, which cost more money. And I will get back to that. As you can see, the molded stock has a higher cheek elevation in it, much more comfortable for, adults, kids, whatever, shooting it. It has a bolt knob now instead of the standard bolt, which you see on that one. The action has more cutouts, a little bit more eye-popping, and you have your spiral barrel that is threaded with a brake. The Ruger American, the Glenfield Model A now, has the basic, it's a standard model to a more souped up model. I'm not going to call it a King Ranch model because I am a custom gun builder. And if you want a King Ranch, you come see me, we'll make you one. But again, as a rifle, as a $400 rifle, you can't go wrong. The comparisons are very similar. This has a threaded barrel, just doesn't have the high raised cheek. Same molded material for the stock, just a little different action. Same working components in the action, trigger and everything as the Gen 2s, 20-inch barrel. It's just not spiraled. Same accuracy, same everything as the Gen 2s. But Ruger wanted to stay in that $400 price range. So they decided to say, instead of just producing the Gen 2s, which are wildly popular right now. They really are. As a gun dealer, I can't, my wholesalers, they're all back ordered, which is great. That means that, because Ruger's an American company, I love it. They're flying off the shelf. That's great. So, but the cost of the Gen 2s are around $200 more than what their Gen 1s were. So I think they said, well, we want to stay in that market with the Patriots, the XPRs, the 783s, the Accesses. They wanted to stay in that price range. So they're keeping their Gen 1s going instead of just discontinuing making them, which I think is a very smart move. Where I think Ruger maybe made a little mistake is they should have called it introducing the Glenfield Model A, their original American Ruger American. Kept that right there because of, the quality they built this is the same, as what made it. So don't derive from that, or don't try to change it, because my brother, he came to me, this is his rifle, he brought it to me to mount a scope on it. He said he wanted a truck gun. I told him to go look for a Ruger American. Don't buy the other ones. I'm not a very big fan of the other ones. They do serve their purpose, but I mean, and their marketing is great and they sell a lot of them. That's why they produce a lot of them. I mean, the pink camo, purple camo, they're trying to capture that, younger, buying for their children and things like that, their daughters and significant others. Well, I want my pink camo rifle and this and that, which is perfectly fine and good. But they wanted to stay in that same market with that. So by calling it the Glenfield, and I told my brother to go find one, he came home. He goes, well, I couldn't find a Ruger American, none were on the shelf, which is, again, as I described earlier, is true, because they are very popular and a very rugged and good quality made rifle for the price. He said, but I found this Glenfield. And he goes, it looks a lot like it. And I was like, well, that's because it is. It's the same, essentially the same gun at that price. Again, Ruger, don't shy away from, just because it's this. I see the marketing and calling it the Glenfield kind of retroing, but Glenfield wasn't a very popular name back then. It really didn't catch on because the Marlin lovers were still the Marlin. So don't shy away from it. Use it, and I agree with it, but keep that Ruger American going because it is very popular. And, if you use that little marketing knowledge I just gave you, of course, subscribe to my channel because it's free. Everyone out there, subscribe. But again, if you're out there looking for that rifle, that's a nice truck gun, or you're buying it for your children, grandchildren, significant other, or whatever, look for the Ruger, look for the Glenfield Model A. It's a good starter rifle. You can't go wrong with it. Good quality, everything about it. Might not be as eye-popping as some of the other, where they put bolt knobs or try to make it a little bit more fancier with the camo and stuff like that, which I really like this green anyway. But look for that. I mean, that's why I wanted to do this video, because I get asked a lot of times, what do you recommend? And this is what this is the lower cost gun that I recommend. I do price ranges for people. I always said that if you want the King Ranch, I'll make you a King Ranch. If you want a base model, or if you want a little higher model, this is what I recommend for the money. You tell me what you have to spend, and I'm going to put you in that. Gun. Let's just say it like that. But I hope you like this video. Again, we're going to go over a lot more videos. I'm going to continue to make them. Hopefully, this gives you some knowledge of why and how and what to look for when you're out there purchasing that first rifle. And as always, subscribe to the channel. I'm going to have a lot more coming out. It's free to subscribe. It is. Just trust me. Hit the subscribe button. It's free. Follow, share these videos with those people, even if you're well-versed, even if you're at where I'm at. And you like these line of videos I do for reloading and guns. I'm going to do some scope mounting videos and stuff, bedding and stuff like that of rifles. But just share, like, subscribe again. As always, as I always say, God bless you and God bless the United States of America. And I will be speaking to you soon.